Health is wealth.
Yes, health is wealth. That's how we welcome you to Glow Health Talk with Nigerian Medical Association Ondo State Chapter. Today on the program, as you do know, we usually have a guest in the studio who help us dissect the topic of discourse. And one of them, wherever they are, if they are not in Nigeria, they may listen to us on our website or download the app on Google Play Store, or watch us or listen on Radio Garden. Yes, we are also live on Radio Garden. Maintaining good health into old age is what we're looking at. Ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò wa ètò yín ìlera lọ́rọ̀ pẹ̀lú ìbáṣepọ̀ Nigerian Medical Association yẹn ti ìpínlẹ̀ Ondo ń bì. Ń tà dẹ̀ ń fẹ́ wò láàárọ̀ tòní, tá fẹ́ mẹ́nubà láàárọ̀ tòní ní bá ṣe máa tọ́jú ìlera wa títí a fi di àgbà tá máa fi di àgbà dáadáa, tá máa dàgbà, tá máa fi darúgbó, tí ìlera wa dẹ̀ sì dúró dáadáa, tí ò ní yẹ̀, tí ò ní kọsẹ̀ rárá. Ẹni tá dẹ̀ ní nínú studio wa ń bì yẹn, yàrá agbára wa ń bì yẹn, àwọn ní consultant, community medicine physician, àwọn ni wọ́n ti ṣe ní FUTATH Teaching Hospital tìlú Akure ń bì. Àwọn náà ni Dr. Aderonke Fagbemi. Ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò wa.
Iṣẹ́ olóòtú.
Ọtí ẹ ti dáa. A máa sọ Yorùbá dáadáa lónìí. Orúkọ tèmi ni Comfort Ọmọláfẹ́. Ẹ jẹ́ àdókè lọ́hùn-ún à ń bọ̀. Ẹ má yìí. Ẹ káàbọ̀ padà sórí ètò wa ìlera lọ́rọ̀ pẹ̀lú ìbáṣepọ̀ Nigerian Medical Association ti ìpínlẹ̀ Ondo ń bí. A máa kọ́kọ́ béèrè lé wọn lédè abínibí wa. Màmá ẹ káàbọ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí.
Ẹ ṣé gan ni.
Kí ni ìlera gangan? Kí ló ń pè ní ìlera? Kó tó di pé a máa sọ̀rọ̀ pé ìlera tó péye, kí ni ìlera?
Ok. Ìlera ni nígbà tí ara wa bá yá, tá bá ń wo ara wa báyìí, ara wa nínú ara wa kò sí wàhálà kankan. Nínú ọpọlọ kò sí wàhálà kankan, àbí nínú ìrònú bá ṣe ń ronú. Then nínú ìbáṣepọ̀ wa náà pẹ̀lú àwọn ènìyàn kò sí wàhálà kankan. So kì í ṣe pé orí ò fọ́ mi lásán àbí ẹ̀dùn ò rì mí, ṣùgbọ́n bí mo ṣe ń ronú, mò ń ronú, ìrònú mi jí pépé. Then ìbáṣepọ̀ mi pẹ̀lú àwọn èèyàn náà ó dán mọ́rán. Gbogbo àwọn nǹkan yẹn là ń wò pọ̀ tá à ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa pé ẹni wà ní ìlera.
Ìlera tó péye wá ń kọ́?
Ìlera tó péye, so bí mo ṣe sọ yẹn náà, ìlera tó péye ni nígbà tí kò sí wàhálà kankan nínú gbogbo àwọn bíi mẹ́ta tá a sọ yẹn, àbí pé tó bá yẹ pé wàhálà dẹ̀ wà, èèyàn tètè múra sí láti ṣe ìtọ́jú ẹ̀.
Eshun Gani, very quickly, I'd like to ask you, because we're looking at maintaining good health into old age. So what exactly is health? And maybe we did paraphrase you. What exactly is health? What exactly is good health? I want you to define each differently, and then you marry both so we can understand better.
Okay, so when you're talking about health, you know, we're talking about our well-being, our physical well-being, our mental well-being, and our social well-being too. So it's not just because that, okay, so I don't have an illness in my body, I don't have headache, I don't have malaria. But, you know, so in terms of the father, so mentally, you know, the way you think, you know, your thought process, there's no problem there. Your social relationship with, you know, people, it's okay also. So that's what, when we look at all of that, combination of that, and there's no problem with that, you now start talking about, you know, that you're healthy, you're living, you know, a healthy life.
It means you have a good health.
Good health.
Okay, so looking at it, maintaining good health into old age. How do we define old age?
Okay, so, you know, somebody that is old is somebody that we can say is advanced, you know, in an advanced state of life circle, you know, and it is characterized by changes that occur physically, psychologically, or socially. You know, those are changes that are associated with aging. You know, and in defining old age, it changes in terms of the culture where we had, the context, and some frameworks. So in the developed countries, we say you have reached you've actually reached the old age when you are 65 years and above. But in developing countries like ours, we say you have reached, you know, you have reached an old age when you are 60 years and above, you know, and that's actually the time of retirement. You know, and then old age, even though it starts is a process of progressive, changes. I've told us, so it starts at the age of 60, but we can actually go ahead to classify it further. So we have the younghood, in which we are between 60 and 74. So of course the process of aging has started, and it continues. And then we have the middle age. That's when you are between 75 and 84. So those, that the process of aging is progressing. And then you now have the oldwood, 85 years and above, in which of course it's becoming much more progressive, and you can actually start seeing all the signs of aging in that person. So that's, so.
Okay. Ẹ ṣeun gan ni ẹ ti ṣàlàyé fún wa lédè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì. A fẹ́ kẹ́ ìyànnàná ẹ̀ lédè abínibí wa.
Okay. Tá bá ní èèyàn ń dàgbà, à ń sọ wípé èèyàn yẹn bí a ṣe ń dàgbà ní ọjọ́ orí, àwọn ìyàtọ̀ wà nínú ara wa. Àwọn ìyàtọ̀ wà nínú ọpọlọ àbí bí a ṣe ń ronú. Àwọn ìyàtọ̀ wà nínú ìbáṣepọ̀ wa àbí àwọn nǹkan tá a lè ṣe ní àwùjọ. Tá a bá wò ní oríṣiríṣi orílẹ̀-èdè àní ibikíbi tá a bá wà, ìyàtọ̀ wà nínú ọjọ́ orí tá a fi sí pé èèyàn ń dàgbà. Tá a bá wo àwọn òyìnbó níbi tí nǹkan ti dá, wọ́n á nípa àwọn èèyàn ń dàgbà nígbà tí wọ́n bá ti pé 65 years, ọmọ ọdún márùndínláàádọ́rin, if I'm right. And then tí wọ́n bá wo bí irú ibi tá a wà yìí ní orílẹ̀-èdè wa àtàwọn orílẹ̀-èdè tó jẹ́ pé a ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ń dàgbà díẹ̀díẹ̀, a sọ wípé a ti dàgbà nígbà tá a bá ti pé ọmọ 60 ọdún. A rí i pé àkókò yẹn náà là ń tó ẹ́pà àti ń ṣiṣẹ́ ìjọba tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀, àkókò yẹn là ń fi iṣẹ́ ìjọba sílẹ̀. Ní a lè má lè dáṣe nǹkan fúnra wa mọ́, a máa wojú àwọn ènìyàn láti ṣe nǹkan. So a rí, so it's so special because we've said there are changes in the body. There's changes there's changes physiologically or biologically. There are changes psychologically, and there are changes in the social aspect of that person. And it makes that person to be vulnerable. So they are like a role reversal. So you've been independent and you can actually take care of people before, you now become independent. So it can actually change so many things in your life. It changes the dynamics of living, And so if those challenges are not well identified and taken care of, either we prevent them or manage them, you know that it's something that can actually tilt the person to the other side. So you actually feel, neglected. You feel you can't do anything. You feel useless. You feel that you are not even useful to other people. And then, this is the time, I've said this is the time where we retire also. So you may not actually have funds to do what you want to do. So it's so special. It can actually make you so vulnerable at that time. Okay, money tí a bá ń dàgbà, wípé nǹkan tó ṣe pàtàkì ni wípé oríṣiríṣi ìyàtọ̀ ló wà nínú ara wa. Mo ti sọ nínú ara wa, nínú ara, nínú ọkàn àti nínú ìbáṣepọ̀. Tó jẹ́ wípé ó lè mú oríṣiríṣi ìyàtọ̀ kó dé bá wa nínú ìgbé ayé wa. Àwa tó jẹ́ wípé alágbára láti lè ṣe nǹkan tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀, ó wá di wípé ká máa wojú ọmọ ká tó ṣe. Àwọn mi ò ní lè rìn dáadáa mọ́ and everything. So a rí wípé even nínú ìgbé ayé wa, nínú ìhà tá a kọ sí àwùjọ àbí tí àwùjọ kọ sí wa, ó ṣe pàtàkì púpọ̀ nítorí pé àwọn oríṣiríṣi ìpèníjà ló máa ń wà nírú àkókò bẹ́yẹn. So tá a bá dẹ̀ tètè bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ká mọ irú ìpèníjà tá a lè kojú, ká mọ bá a ṣe lè handle so that kò ní jẹ́ wàhálà fún wa. Ó ṣe pàtàkì because tá a bá tètè ṣe bẹ́yẹn, a rí pé irú àwọn èèyàn bẹ́yẹn wọn ò ní gbé ìgbé ayé tó rọrùn, ìgbé ayé tó lè fún wọn ní ìlera pípé. Wọ́n á rí pé wọ́n ń gbé ìgbé ayé yẹn pẹ̀lú ìnira. Nítorí ẹ̀ ló ṣe pàtàkì, béèyàn bá ṣe ń dàgbà, kéèyàn mọ gbogbo irú àwọn nǹkan tó lè ṣẹlẹ̀, kéèyàn dẹ̀ lè kojú ẹ̀, kéèyàn bá lè gbé ìgbé ayé ìlera.
Ẹ ṣeun gan ni àlejò wa. Let me ask you this in English. In the journey to old age, the journey to maintaining old age, when should it begin? You want to have a good health at your old age. When should it begin? Should it begin at 20, at 40, at even 60? When should it begin exactly? Or even when that child is still young, and then when you know you can take good care of yourself. I want you to elaborate more on
Okay,
this.
so I want to say that, aging is a natural process.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's good to know that. And immediately we are born, we begin to age. So there are some habits, some lifestyle that we can inculcate as we grow in, that we eventually is like a bank. What you store there and you begin to meet. So we start talking about good health, healthy living, from when that child is young until the adolescent age, but we become more particular, intentional when you begin to clock the age of 30, 40 going forward. So you are particular about what you eat, you are particular about your lifestyles, you are particular about seeking behavior, because then you're conscious, and those are the times that some things begin to, to come up. Some non-communicable diseases that you don't know and you need to actually start searching for, But actually, aging starts from when we are born, we begin to age, but we become intentional about it. Maybe at the age of 40, so you begin to prepare for old age.
Thank you very much, ma. Ẹ ṣeun gan ni. Mo fẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ ṣàlàyé ńgbà tí ó yẹ kíyàn ti máa tọ́jú rẹ̀ sílẹ̀ kó tó di ọjọ́ ogbó. Ṣé bàbá ṣe bí ọmọ ni àbí bọ́mọ bá ti dàgbà, bó bá ti pé 60 yẹn ni a ṣe wá máa tọ́jú rẹ̀ kó tó di ọjọ́ ogbó. Mo fẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ yànnà.
So ẹ ṣe mà, mo sọ wípé dídi ogbó bí kéèyàn dàgbà, nǹkan tó jẹ́ wípé gbogbo wa la máa dàgbà ni. Bọ́ bá ṣe ń bí wa, tá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní lo ọjọ́ wa, ni a ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní dàgbà. So títọ́jú ara ẹni nípa ìlera ó ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti ìgbà tí a ti bí ọmọ yẹn, nígbà tí àwọn òbí ẹ̀ lè tọ́jú ẹ̀, débi ìgbà tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní bàlágà, tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní gbé ìgbé ayé tó yẹ kó gbé, ilé ìlera. Mo sọ wípé ó dàbí báǹkì ni, ó dàbí nǹkan àpò ìṣúra tá a fi nǹkan sí, tá a bá níbẹ̀. Ṣùgbọ́n ìgbà tó bá yẹ ká tẹra mọ́ jù, dìgbà tó bá jẹ́ pé a bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ìmọ̀lára dáadáa, bóyá bí ọmọ 40 ọdún sí ìsàlẹ̀, èèyàn á bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní máa gbé ìgbé ayé téèyàn mọ̀ wípé ó lè fún èèyàn ní ìlera. Téèyàn bá ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní pé ọmọ 60 ọdún lọ sókè, èèyàn á bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní máa wo nǹkan tó ń jẹ, àwọn nǹkan tó ń bó ṣe ń lo ara ẹ̀, èèyàn á bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní máa fi òye sí, máa dídì máa ṣe àwọn nǹkan tó pé ó lè fún wa ní ìrọ̀rùn ní ọjọ́ iwájú. So bí mo ṣe sọ ní òyìnbó, it is natural. Díẹ̀díẹ̀ náà ni à bẹ̀rẹ̀, because àwọn nǹkan míì máa wà tó yẹ pé a máa ṣe ìgbà tá a kéré la ṣe, ìgbà míì ìgbà tá a di ògbó tán àbí tá a dàgbà la máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní máa rí àwọn àtúbọ̀tán nǹkan yẹn. So nítorí ẹ̀ ló ṣe dáa wípé bọ́n ṣe bí ọmọ yẹn lọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní tọ́jú ẹ̀ nígbà tóun náà bá ní mọ̀ lára, bá pé òun pọ̀ ọmọ 30 ọdún, 40 ọdún, ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní tọ́jú ara ẹ̀ kó ba lè ní ìlera pípé tó bá di ọjọ́ ogbó.
Thank you very much. I would also like to ask you before we go on a very short break, what are the health challenges that are linked with old age and their causes? But before then, there are some symptoms right from when you are 30, sometimes 40, but oftentimes 40 years and above. What are those symptoms that we would see and we need to take cognizance of in order to have good old age?
Okay, so let's first talk about the changes.
Okay.
Because those are the causes of the things you begin to see. So, I've told us that there can be 3 kinds of changes. So it can be biological, or what some people call physiological changes, or what we call physical changes, as we begin, to age. And the first thing is that, so there are changes with the tissues and the organs of the body. So organ functions begin to decline, and organs like your heart, your liver, your lungs, they begin to decline. Then also there can be, what we see is that there can be loss of muscle bulk and tone. So your muscles, they are not as strong as they should be. Then there could be demineralization of bones. So there are some things that make our bones to be strong. As we begin to age, we find out that what those bones become brittle, they become weak. Then also we can see that, there can be changes in hormonal levels, and that is where the symptoms or the signs of, menopause, for example, in women become more prominent, because of these changes. Then there can be slower metabolism. So you don't want to eat, or when you eat, you're not digesting, very well, or you cannot cook, very well, because of old age. And then also there can be, I've actually talked about the functions of the vital organs also. So all of those changes physically. So when you talk about psychologically or mental changes, we talk about cognitive function. So you find out that you're not able to learn new things, and even if you're learning, you're not learning as fast as you can. You become slow, so to say. Then also it affects your memory, So you find out that you can't remember things as you should, And then for old people, maybe we are still going to talk about that, so it affects your memory. And then sometimes you have emotional instability. Your emotions cannot be, predicted, yeah. And then also there can be mental health challenges, a lot of other mental, which we talk about later. And then also when we talk about social changes, you find out that person can become lonely. So there is loss of social connectedness. And I've told us that's the time also that you may retire, and that's the time that there is loss of income too, and all of those things are things that can bring about this. So what are the changes that can now occur? So I've told us, so there can be chronic illnesses, what we call the non-communicable diseases, and you have said, at the age of 40, those are things that can begin, to happen physically. And what we say is that when we talk about chronic illnesses from the word, it's something that can take a lifetime, that may not go away. Non-communicable in terms of the fact that they are not diseases that are contagious. They are not diseases that when I have, I may give to you directly like that. And there are things in the body also that if you don't look for them, if you don't actually do a searchlight, they are there, And what are the examples of these? Like the hypertension, like diabetes mellitus, like arthritis, like cancers. For women, we talk about the most common cancers are the breast cancers and the cervical cancers. For the men, we talk about the prostate cancers. So there can be non-common. Then also there can be, when we look at the sensory functions too. So there are changes. And you said that I like the way at the age of 40, you find out also that from the age of 40, when you want to read, you may not be able to read small print until you start using glasses, and that's because of aging. And then also you find out that also the lens.
Is it because of aging or overusing the sides? Because there are some persons, even at 50, they're not using glasses and they can read well. So and they've been misconceived. I just want us to, so this is not where we're going to. But just because you have mentioned it, I'm sorry to just come in between your thoughts.
So the factors, it can be multifactorial.
Okay.
So I've told us that so there are changes or decline in the functions of the organs in the body, the eye inclusive.
Okay.
The wear and tear over the time.
Okay.
Then also, by the time we're reaching that age of 40, there are aging processes that begin naturally and becomes progressive. So even if, because of aging, because it's been there over the time. And so there are some changes, in your eyes, And then, of course, you said that there are some people that will not use. So there are genetic factors. So there are some people that in their family, they age so quickly. You say, so there's a lot of white hair on your hair. Your body wrinkles. It has wrinkles so early. And you see some people at the age of 60, they are still looking
20.
Yeah. So, but majorly, for many people, By the time we're reaching the age of 40, you begin to see those changes, because of the wear and tear, because of aging. It may not be because you've, overused, like that.
Okay.
Because you are aging. And so there can be changes in the eyes, then there can be changes also in the hair, and people can actually, we see some people not hearing very well also. And then I've actually talked about, in terms of, I've talked about the bones and the muscles, so there is reduced physical fitness. Then also, the muscles are not as strong as they should before. So there's proneness to fall, to fractures. And at old age, those fractures may not heal very well, because of aging also. And then also, we can say that there's weakened immune system. So there's high susceptibility to diseases, and then also for you to heal also from those illnesses, it can take some time. Then there can be what we call malnutrition. So I've told you about metabolism. So I don't feel like eating, so I don't eat well. My food doesn't digest well. And I'm not eating well because I don't have the ability to cook also. Then it can affect, sometimes old people complain about sleep. It's that they're not sleeping well or they're having fragmented sleep. So they sleep during or doze during the day, and because of that, they can't sleep well in the night. And then also I've talked about hormonal changes in women with the postmenopausal syndromes becoming very prominent, And then also there can be loss of libido, erectile dysfunction in men as they age. And then when we talk about, I've already talked to us about, the mental changes also. So of course, you see this, you become old and you find out that you can't think as fast as you've been thinking before. And that's why sometimes there's the old man or the woman is asking us questions, the same question over and over, because he can actually not retain the answer you've given. And then some people can actually go ahead to have frank dementia, Alzheimer's disease, and then with memory loss for old people. You find out that they tend to remember things that have happened long time ago, but recent things they cannot remember. They don't know where they put the key to their house. They don't know where they
dropped the cup.
They don't know, even if they keep money, they actually don't know where they've kept the money. And then there can be anxiety, there can be depression, there can be fear of death. They are seeing all their mates dying, even loved ones. Sometimes some people see children dying, their children dying, so they can be there. Then also when it comes to social, issues, there's lots of social connectedness. So they are lonely. People usually will not come and visit. And they also, because they've actually lived the active life and they are now living a very passive life now. So they may not, have that connectedness, to relatives, to people around. Sometimes the responsibilities in the society has reduced also. And also some people, experience what we call elderly neglect, So people neglect them, not taking care of them, because, of what, we feel that they are not useful, they are like a burden, and, they don't get enough. And then there's what we call the digital divide. There's a lot that is going on. And so sometimes the older person cannot actually catch up, with the communication devices that we use now. So all of that, are the many changes that happen, the many challenges that can happen with.
Thank you very much. We're having a robust conversation. It's getting interesting. So I would like you to please, all of these that you have said in English, can we have a repeat? Just try as much as possible how you can just answer together. Yeah, ni èdè abínibí ohun tá a ti ń sọ láti ẹ̀kan mo fẹ́ kẹ́ pàápọ̀ sójú kan kẹ́ fáǹfà náà àwọn ará ilé torí ó dà pé àwọn òyìnbó tá a ti ń sọ yẹn ẹlẹ́wọ̀n ni òyìnbó yìí ti pọ̀ jù ilẹ̀ adúláwọ̀ la ẹja sọ Yorùbá ẹja ohun tá ẹ ti sọ ẹja ṣàlàyé lédè abínibí wa.
So nǹkan tí mo sọ ní òyìnbó ni wípé bá a ṣe ń dàgbà ni à ń rí àwọn ìpèníjà nítorí àwọn ìyàtọ̀ àwọn nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ nínú ara àbí tó lè ṣẹlẹ̀ nínú ọpọlọ àbí ọkàn wa àbí tó lè ṣẹlẹ̀ nínú ìbáṣepọ̀ wa pẹ̀lú àwọn ènìyàn àbí àwùjọ. So jẹ́ ká kọ́kọ́ sọ ká wo nǹkan tó lè ṣẹlẹ̀ nínú ara. A rí wípé àwọn àìsàn kan lè bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní yọjú. àwọn àìsàn yìí jẹ́ àwọn àìsàn tó yẹ pé ó lè wà lára fún ọjọ́ pípẹ́, kì í ṣàìsàn bíi pé mo ní ibà, mo ní malaria ọjọ́ kan ọjọ́ méjì ó lọ. Àwọn àìsàn tó jẹ́ pé ó lè wà lára fún ọjọ́ pípẹ́ nítorí wípé a ti ń dàgbà. Àwọn àpẹẹrẹ ni bíi àìsàn hypertension, ẹ̀jẹ̀ ríru, tó lè jẹ́ wípé nítorí pé a ti ń dàgbà, àwọn ọ̀pá àbí iṣan tó ń gbé ẹ̀jẹ̀ yẹn wọ́n
ṣiṣẹ́ dáadáa
mọ́, wọ́n lè gbẹ́jẹ̀ dáadáa. Nítorí ọkàn á wá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ṣiṣẹ́ agbára, àbí bóyá nítorí pé ọjọ́ pípẹ́ àwọn nǹkan kan ti wà tó ń ti dí ọ̀nà tó ń jẹ́ kẹ́jẹ̀ yẹn kọjá, tó wà ní jẹ́ kẹ́jẹ̀ yẹn kọjá dáadáa mọ́ nítorí àgbà. Dẹ́ni ìgbà míì à ń rí wípé àwọn àpẹẹrẹ àìsàn tí èèyàn lè ní náà ní ìtọ̀ ṣúgà tó máa ń wọ́pọ̀ náà bí èèyàn bá ṣe ń pé ọmọ 40 ọdún sókè, tó tún lè wọ́pọ̀ sí dáadáa bí èèyàn ṣe ń di àgbà dáadáa. Then èèyàn á rí pé èèyàn ní àìsàn kan tá à ń pè ní àgì, táwọn olóyìnbó ń pè ní arthritis. Ibi tí egungun méjì bá ti pàdé ló máa ń ti ń sábà ṣẹlẹ̀. Bí Ọlọ́run ṣe dá, bí omi àbí bóyá bí òróró, ó wà láàárín àwọn egungun méjì yẹn tó máa jẹ́ kí àwọn egungun méjì yẹn ṣiṣẹ́ dáadáa. Ọlọ́run tún wọ bí ìbọ̀sẹ̀ fáwọn egungun yẹn tó yẹ pé tó má ti fara kanra kò ní dàbí pé irin fi irin gbára. Bó bá ṣe ń dàgbà sí, àwọn ìbọ̀sẹ̀ yẹn máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ṣe kíni, wọ́n á bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní já kúrò. Àwọn omi tó wà láàárín àwọn egungun yẹn náà á bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní gbẹ. Á wá di kí egungun kó máa fara kanra, tó bá dẹ̀ ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní fara kanra, á di pé kó máa dùnyàn, tá à ń pè ní àgì. Àwọn ẹlòmíì lè ní àwọn oríkèéríkèé ara ń dùn wọ́n, àwọn bíi tí egungun méjì ti pàdé ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní wú àbí kó máa dùn wọ́n.
A padà sí afẹ́sáré dókè lọ́hùn náà, ẹ kó má di pé wọ́n máa fáìnì wa, ẹ jẹ́ ká dá tán mi náà fẹ́ lọ fún ìpolówó ọjà díẹ̀, ẹ má yí kúrò ń bẹ̀.
Relaxation is a foundation of success. It creates space for clarity, creativity, and innovation. Wait, when last did you get a good break? VETA's exclusive apartment is here for you and your friends, family, and guests. It is always a soft luxury at VETA's exclusive apartments, where smart bedrooms, spacious living spaces, parking lots, and free Wi-Fi to stay connected, well-equipped kitchen for your tastings, and a serene environment with 24-hour security and power supply. So come and lodge, come or get a VIP rest and privacy at VETA's exclusive apartment at number 1 F1 Street inside Ijapo Estate, Akure, Ondo State. For reservations,
0805 484 7777. I take that again. 0805 484 7777.
Tell a friend to tell a friend that VETA's exclusive apartment Ijapo, Akure is affordable, welcoming, and safe to stay for memories.
Ètò yín ìlera lérò pẹ̀lú ìbáṣepọ̀ Nigerian Medical Association tí ó sọ́wọ́ papọ̀ pẹ̀lú Glow 99.1 FM. Lẹ́ni adẹ̀sí ń sọ̀rọ̀ lórí bí a ṣe lè tọ́jú ara wa títí di ọjọ́ ogbó. Àwọn tá a ṣì ń bá sọ̀rọ̀ náà ní Dr. Mrs. Aderonke Fagbemi. Àwọn ni consultant community medicine physician ní FUTATH Teaching Hospital nílùú Akure ń bí. Wọ́n dẹ̀ ń sọ lórí àwọn nǹkan tó lè ṣẹlẹ̀ bàbá ṣe ń dàgbà. Òun ni wọ́n ti ń bá wa yànnàná ẹ̀ kó tó di pé adátánmi lẹ́ẹ̀kan. A máa fún wọn ní àǹfààní láti parí ìdáhùn sí ìbéèrè yẹn kó tó di pé a tún lọ sí ìbéèrè mìíràn.
Okay, ṣé olóòtú. So bí mo ṣe ń sọ lọ tẹ́lẹ̀ mo ti sọ̀rọ̀ nípa àìsàn ẹ̀jẹ̀ ríru, àìsàn ìtọ̀ ṣúgà. Then mo ti sọ̀rọ̀ nípa àgì náà táwọn olóyìnbó ń pè ní arthritis. Then a rí pé ìgbà yẹn náà ló jẹ́ wípé àwọn ẹ̀yà ara náà lè má ṣiṣẹ́ dáadáa. A lè bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní máa ní àìsàn ọkàn, àìsàn kíndìnrín oríṣiríṣi. Then ìgbà yẹn ní àkókò yẹn náà a rí wípé àwọn àgbà púpọ̀ lè bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní máa ní àìsàn tá à ń pè ní àìsàn jẹjẹrẹ. Tó bá jẹ́ wípé obìnrin ni jẹjẹrẹ ọyàn àbí tẹnu ilé ọmọ ló wọ́n pọ̀ jù. Kò sí àkókò tí èèyàn lè ní jẹjẹrẹ, ṣùgbọ́n bí èèyàn bá ṣe ń dàgbà sí ó máa ń wọ́n pọ̀ nígbà yẹn náà. So a tún rí pé bí mo ṣe sọ ojú, bí èèyàn ṣe ń dàgbà sí ojú ènìyàn lè má ríran dáadáa mọ́. A di wípé mo mọ̀ pé nǹkan tí gbogbo wa mọ̀ ni a lè má rí nǹkan tán bá kọ́ tó kéré mọ́, a lè má lè rí bíbélì wa kà dáadáa kó di pé a nídìí glasses láti rí. àwọ̀ ojú ń gbà yẹn àwọ̀ nǹkan tó ń pè ní lens ojú kò yẹ kó funfun, kò ní jẹ́ kí iná wọlé kéèyàn lè ríran dáadáa mọ́. Then ìgbà míì wà tó yẹ pé ojú náà àwọn àìsàn bíi hypertension, ẹ̀jẹ̀ ríru àbí diabetes tá a bá tọ́jú ẹ̀ dáadáa náà ó lè affect ojú wa náà tó yẹ pé ojú náà ò ní ríran dáadáa. Then mo ti sọ wípé a ò ní lágbára bá a ṣe lágbára tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ mọ́, so àwọn iṣẹ́ tá a lè ṣe, àwọn ibi tá a lè rìn dé tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ àní lè ṣe mọ́. Then egungun náà ò ní lágbára, so ìgbà yẹn ló yẹ pé àgbà tá a bá ṣọ́ra a lè ṣubú. Tá a bá dẹ̀ ṣubú, ìṣubú yẹn lè mú pé egungun ṣe kí ni kó kán. Tí egungun bá kán, egungun àgbàlagbà ò kì í tètè jiná. Tọmọdé tó yẹ pé bí ọ̀sẹ̀ mẹ́fà iye oṣù méjì ó ti jiná, tàgbàlagbà lè pẹ́pẹ́pẹ́pẹ́. Ìgbà tó bá tẹ̀ súpẹ́ tó jiná, tá a jókòó sórí bẹ́ẹ̀dì tá a tètè rìn kiri, ẹ̀jẹ̀ ò ní lọ bó ṣe yẹ kó lọ, ẹ̀jẹ̀ lè dì, wàhálà lè ṣẹlẹ̀. So oríṣiríṣi wàhálà ló lè ṣe yẹn pẹ̀lú hypertension àti diabetes yẹn náà. A lè ní nǹkan kan tó ń pè ní stroke, lápá lọ́mọ àbí ìtọ́pá àti ẹsẹ̀ tó lè rọ. Then also, so nǹkan tí mo tún sọ ni pé bá ṣe ń dàgbà sí àjẹsára wa ò pé dáadáa mọ́, so a lè tètè ní àìsàn. Then tá a bá ní àìsàn yẹn lè tètè má lọ. Then àìsàn oúnjẹ náà a rí wípé a lè má lè jẹun dáadáa. Ìgbà míì ó lè jẹ́ nítorí eyín wa ó ti di eyín wa ò dúró déédéé mọ́, àbí ebi ò pa wá, àbí tá a bá tètè jẹun wọn kàn ní àmọ́ jẹun wípé kò lọlẹ̀, kò digest, àbí bóyá àlágbára láti ẹ̀ ti lè sọ oúnjẹ yẹn mọ́ gbogbo àwọn. Then a rí pé bá a ṣe ń dàgbà náà àwọn àgbàlagbà ò kí ń lè sùn dáadáa. Mo dẹ̀ máa ń sọ ìgbà míì ó lè jẹ́ pé nítorí pa ti ń tò gbé dánrín ní bí ọ̀sán tá a sùn. Àwọn àgbà míì wọ́n á ní kàn lọ sùn, wọ́n á ní rárá mi ò sùn. Tán bá ti wá dòru wọn ò ní lè sùn dáadáa mọ́. Àwọn mi á ní mi ò lè sùn ju wákàtí kan àbí wákàtí méjì. Then a rí wípé táwọn obìnrin ò bá ṣe nǹkan oṣù mọ́ náà, ẹ mọ̀ pé ó ti ń tó àkókò yẹn, ọmọ 50 ọdún sí òkè, a rí pé àwọn nǹkan kan náà wà tá a máa ń rí gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìmọ̀lára nítorí pé àwọn omijé kan, àwọn oje kan nínú ara tá à ń pè ní hormones wọ́n ti lọ sílẹ̀ sí. Then a rí pé ní ìbáṣepọ̀ náà, ìbálòpọ̀ ti lọ́kọláya ó lè lọlẹ̀ náà nítorí pé à ń dàgbà. Then tá a bá wo nǹkan tá à ń pè ní ilé tá à ń pè ní psychological or mental changes, a rí wípé àgbàlagbà yẹn á di wípé kò lè ìrònú ẹ̀ á di kò ní lọ gééré bó ṣe yẹ kó lọ gééré mọ́. Á dàbí pé nǹkan tó lóyìnbó ń pè ní ó slow, kò ní lè tètè tẹ́ bá sọ nǹkan fún kò ní lè tètè yí àgbà. Torí ẹ̀ la ṣe máa ń sọ àwọn àgbà míì á béèrè question títí àmọ́ kò ìgbà míì àti nǹkan tá à ń sọ lè má tètè yé wọn. Then àbí pé kán máa tètè gbàgbé nǹkan, pàápàá nǹkan tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́. Wọ́n lè rántí nǹkan tó ti ṣẹlẹ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀ kán sọ ìtàn ọdún mẹ́ẹ̀ẹ́dọ́gbọ̀n
kéèyàn tó dáyé gan.
Ṣùgbọ́n nǹkan tó ṣe bóyá ibi tí mo fi kọ́kọ́rọ́ sí àbí ibi tí mo fowó pamọ́ sí
lẹ́bìrì lọ́wọ́
àbí wọ́n lè gbàgbé yẹn. Then a rí i pé ìgbà míì náà àyà wọn máa ń já àbí kọ́kọ́ wọn máa lélẹ̀. Ìgbà míì wọ́n á ronú ikú, pàápàá táwọn èèyàn wọ́n ní ikú tó ń pa ojúgbà ẹni, òwe ló ń pa fún ni. So ìgbà míì a rí i pé irú àwọn nǹkan yẹn náà ó lè má jẹ́ kí àwọn ọkàn àgbàlagbà kó lélẹ̀ dáadáa. Àwọn ẹlòmíì gan ìrònú wípé wọ́n tún lè máa ronú wípé ó dàbí pé mi ò wúlò mọ́, ó dàbí pé àwọn èèyàn tó wá ń bá mi tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ wá bá mi mọ́. So wọ́n ní nǹkan tó àwọn èèyàn bíi ìrẹ̀wẹ̀sì ọkàn tó lóyìnbó ń pè ní depression. Wọ́n á bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní máa rò pé kò dàbí pé mo wúlò mọ́, mi ò já mọ́ nǹkan kan mọ́. Then ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹta tó lè ṣẹlẹ̀ tá à ń pè ní the social issues ni wípé a wá di wípé wọ́n dá wà ńlé, àwọn èèyàn wá kí wọn mọ́. Ìgbà míì nítorí paròpọ́n ti dàgbà ó jàre, wọn ò nílò láti and then nítorí pé àwọn náà bọ́n ṣe ń ṣe tẹ́tẹ́lẹ̀ wọn ò ṣe mọ́, so inú ilé ló sábà máa ń wà. Gbogbo àwọn nǹkan tó ń ṣe láwùjọ tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ wọn ò ṣe, so ìyẹn máa jẹ́ kó dàbí pé ìbáṣepọ̀ wọn pẹ̀lú àwọn èèyàn kò dán mọ́rán mọ́, kò sí àwọn èèyàn tó yí wọn ká. Then ṣé mọ̀ pákòkò ìgbà yẹn náà bá ṣe sọ ni àkókò ìgbà tá a dáwọ́ iṣẹ́ dúró bóyá ti ń ṣiṣẹ́ fún ìjọba, so owó ò wọlé bó ṣe yẹ kó wọlé mọ́. So gbà mí ìrònú yẹn wípé èmi tí mo ti lè dá nǹkan ṣe fúnra mi tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ ó wá dẹni tó ń wojú ọmọ kó tó jẹ, àbí bóyá tí nǹkan kan bá ṣe mí ó dẹni tó ń ṣe mọ̀ tí mo ní láti dúró
Kán wá tọ́jú mi.
then àwọn àgbàlagbà míì náà mo sọ ìgbà míì àwọn tó yẹ kó tọ́jú wọn náà ò ní sí ń bẹ̀ tó lóyìnbó ń pè ní neglect you know then bí ayé ṣe ti ń sáré lọ ìgbà míì tá a bá ń dàgbà rí i pé we cannot catch up with it you know so gbogbo àwọn nǹkan yìí ni gbogbo àwọn nǹkan tá a lè rí.
Kódà mi ò mọ bó a ṣe máa dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yẹn kó atótónu látẹ̀kan. Let me ask you in English and then we have to, relay this in Yoruba as well. Ẹ má gbàgbé wípé a wà lórí ẹ̀yọ ayárabíàṣá ìyẹn Facebook lórí Glo 99.1 FM Akure lórí Facebook. Ẹ dẹ̀ lè gbọ́ wá lórí Radio Garden. Ẹ tún lè gbọ́ wá lórí website wa www.glowfmradio.com. Ẹ lè tún download app yẹn gan lórí Google Play Store. Ẹ kọ download Glow FM app. Ẹ máa gbọ́ wa níbikíbi tí ẹ bá ti wà ní orílẹ̀-èdè àgbáyé pátápátá ni ẹ ti lè máa gbọ́ wa. Tó bá dẹ̀ fẹ́ wò wá náà ní Facebook wà ńbẹ̀ tí ẹ ó máa rí wa kedere àti àlejò wa. What measures, can we take, like lifestyle modifications, health check and all that will mitigate against some of these health challenges that you have mentioned? What are the things we should do? And I'd like you to begin from age 40. I mean, that's where old age begins, where you need to start taking care of yourself. Because at 60, it might be too late.
Yeah.
So let's begin from 40. What are those things you need to be? And you may also start from 30. But 40 is okay. What are the things we need to do?
First is the realistic age. Don't forget that we have said that two main issues that actually affect it. So there are the genetic factors, in which, those things are non-modifiable. There's nothing you can do about it. So, in a family that we age so quickly, or because of my own genetic makeup, there's nothing you can do about that. But there are lifestyle modifications, things, that you can change, things that are within your power, that can actually affect or mitigate against those challenges, that we talk about. And the first thing is many of these measures are very simple measures, and we just have to be intentional about it. The first one is balanced diet or balanced nutrition. Our nutrition, what we eat. And so what we say is that by the time we become 40, so there are some rules. So what we say is that, less salt. When we talk about hypertension, the kind of hypertension that we have in this part of the world is what we call salt dependent. Can actually, be triggered by a lot of salt, or it can be worsened by salt. So what we say is that they cook the normal salt. You don't get to the table and start adding more salt. So moderately, your salt intake moderately. So we talk about less sugar, especially refined sugar. The sugar that we find in our soft drink, in the sweet things in the junk foods and everything. So there should be a reduction of it, And then we talk about less fat, especially saturated fats. So we begin to talk about the blood not moving well in the vessels. There's something that we call cholesterol. And I tell cholesterol is like the invisible fat, not the fat that you see and you say that person is big. It's the fats in your vessels, in the blood vessels, that can affect the flow of your blood, and that can cause a lot of things. It can actually clog there, could come up from it and start causing problems. So what we say is that take good oil, the reduction in fats, the fats that in our red meats. So we talk about a lot more of eating white meat, like the turkey, like the chicken, eating a lot of fish, where we can get omega-3 oil that can actually protect against the heart. We talk about carbohydrates too, moderately, because sometimes you're taking a lot of calories that we cannot burn off. And once there's an excess sugar in the body that we cannot burn off, the body keeps it as fat. And that can predispose to diabetes and a lot of things. So we talk about that. Then we talk about eating a lot of vegetables and fruits. And so what do these do is that it helps with maintaining our weight. Obesity is a risk factor for so many things. And so by the time you're 40, we're actually checking our weight in terms of what we eat. So you take a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruits, so that it helps with weight. And then also it gives us what we call, it is a lot of roughages too. So it helps with digestion, you know. And then also it has what we call antioxidants. Antioxidants prevents against cancer. So when we talk about taking a lot of water.
Examples of fruits that are antioxidants.
Okay, so all the fruits.
Okay.
Yeah, most of the fruits, our you know, your oranges, you know, you can find antioxidants in your vegetables, your green vegetables. And what we say is that we are blessed in this part of the world. So we are, there is no season, you know, in the year that we don't have fruits, you know, either our citrus foods, our vegetables and all those things.
Okay.
And then also we have, we talk about physical activity. And what we say is that by the time we are 40 and over, we need to do what we call moderate exercise. It may not be strenuous. And what's our examples of moderate exercise?
Okay, let me comment. Should the exercise be every day for the elderly?
Okay, so what we say is that you need about 150 hours of exercise in the week.
In a week.
And so let's divide that. That can be 30 minutes for at least 5 days.
Okay.
So you can actually have, so I said at least.
Okay.
So, and that 30 minutes can actually be divided into 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, 10 minutes in the night. Or it can be 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes. We don't want it to be less than 10 minutes. Because we said, so what does it do? So when you do that kind of exercise, you find out that you sweat. So you must sweat.
Every day.
You find out that you may be breathless and you feel your heart, you know, pumping. You can see that. So and what does it do? It's like it's a kind of cardiovascular exercise that helps your heart. Then it helps your mood also. Then it helps you in maintaining your weight, you know, so that's important. So what we say is that, you know, your brisk walking is not your jumping up, and so you can actually just, you know, stroll, you know,
jog.
Yeah, brisk, you know, for old people, you
They
may not be able to jog.
Okay, they might
you
just
know?
stroll the
So
street.
it can even be around the house. It can be in the neighborhood. It can be coming up and down your
The
staircase.
staircase, okay.
Yeah, and doing that.
Okay.
And then also we talk about adequate sleep. You know, and I tell people, okay, so an adult doesn't need more than 4 or 6 hours of sleep, but you need to rest. So in the afternoon, when you are dozing, rather than saying, you know, I'm not sleeping, go and sleep very well, so that you are adequately rested. So we talk about staying mentally active also.
Okay.
Some people write, some people read, and then social connectiveness is very important.
Okay.
So that you start building relationship. If you've not had good relationship with your children, this is the time to start having it with relatives. You know, if with sometimes our religious, you know, activities to help. And then also, I said that regular medical checkup. So those are things that at the age of 40, you may not actually, all these chronic illnesses are not illnesses that may show themselves, except if you go
Way 0706-677-1822. Gbogbo ń tẹ̀tí bèrè lẹ́ẹ̀kan ẹ kí mi kọ̀ bá yín mú àwọn ìbéèrè yẹn lẹ́ẹ̀kan kan kíkọ̀ bá wa summarize lédè abínibí wa. Age wo ni àgbàlagbà ni ó yẹ káwọn èèyàn ti máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí máa plan fún healthy aging? Then ṣó dá kí àgbàlagbà kí wọ́n máa ṣe exercise every day? Then báwo làwọn retirees ẹ̀dárúkọ wọn lẹ́ẹ̀kan báwo ló ṣe lè wà active àti socially engaged lẹ́yìn tó bá ti retire tán? Ẹ mọ̀ pé sọ pé nígbà míì depression lè wọlé pé àwọn nǹkan tí mo lè fowó ṣe lẹ́ẹ̀kan gbogbo wọn mo fẹ́ kẹ́ bá wa sọ lédè abínibí wa ni kò ń ṣe lédè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì o. Kí ni àwọn danger signs tí families kọ́ máa watch out fún nínú àwọn àgbàlagbà tó ti àwọn òbí tó ti dàgbà? Then kí ni àwọn common medication mistakes tí àwọn àgbàlagbà máa ń ṣe mọ̀ ọjọ́ tí ń pọ̀ jù àbí ó dà gbogbo àwọn wọ̀nyí àti báwo ni tí àwọn èèyàn bá ṣubú, how can falls and injuries be prevented at home fún àgbàlagbà? Kí ni wọ́n lè ṣe bí ra ìlú mi báyìí irúlé bóyá tó ní staircase bí ilé tó ṣáà báwo ló ṣe lè ṣe wọ́n máa wà nínú yàrá tó pé wọ́n ní lè máa gun kọ́ máa bá ṣubú àbí àwọn nǹkan wọ̀nyí kò fẹ́ kẹ́ ṣàlàyé fún ọba ṣe ń retí àwọn ìpè wa.
ẹ jẹ́ ká bẹ̀rẹ̀ ẹ jẹ́ kí n bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti ilé ìtẹ̀bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní ìgbẹ̀yìn àwọn máa sọ lọ. So à ń sọ wípé táwọn èèyàn bá ṣe ń dàgbà sí a sọ nípa wípé a lágbára láti ṣiṣẹ́ agbára mọ́ láti rìn kébékébé bá ṣe ń rìn tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ then egungun náà ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní dàgbà jẹ́ pé a lè ṣubú tàbá dẹ̀ ṣubú ẹsẹ̀ lè kan wàhálà lè ṣẹlẹ̀ lóríṣiríṣi so tá a bá ti ń dàgbà sí àwọn tó nílé alájà kan alájà méjì a lè bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní pé káwọn àgbà wa kán relocate wá sí ilé ìsàlẹ̀ kó má di wípé wọ́n ń gun staircase lọ bọ̀ mọ́ torí pé wọ́n lè ṣubú torí pé ṣe mọ̀ wípé balance wọn ẹsẹ̀ wọn lè tàsé wọ́n lè má lè dúra bíi ọmọdé mọ́ then àwa tẹ́ àwọn ọmọ tó lówó náà kì í ṣègbà yẹn la bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní máa chain táìsì tó yẹ pé ó lè yọ àgbàlagbà láti ṣubú táìsì táwọn olóyìnbó pè ní tó grip tó lè mú ẹsẹ̀ dúró then tó bí bá ti dàálẹ̀ ṣe wọn pàgbàlagbà ò lè ríran mọ́ dáadáa mọ́ sọ̀bọ̀ àwọn tó ń bá wọn gbélé àgbàlagbà bọ́n máa ṣe ń dàgbà sí ni ó jẹ́ pé kò yẹ ká máa dágbé mọ́ ó yẹ ká láwọn èèyàn tó lè bá wa mú bá wa má wo wá àbí tí wọ́n bá rí nǹkan wà lọ́nà àgbàlagbà jí kò mọ̀ pé nǹkan wà lọ́nà èyí ó fẹsẹ̀ kọ ó ṣubú so gbogbo orú àwọn nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn ìyẹn omi ní pé àgbà ò ní rí lè rìn o ṣùgbọ́n ibi tí wọ́n bá rìn sí kò ní jẹ́ nǹkan ibi tó lè kàn wọ́n lẹ́sẹ̀ àbí nǹkan kan then wọ́n tún sọ̀rọ̀ nípa pé ìgbà wo ló jẹ́ pé ọmọdún wo la bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní máa rí ló yẹ ká bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní máa yẹ ara wa wò a sì sọ wípé eléyìí tó ta máa ń sọ ní ìgbà tá a bá ti pé ọmọ 40 ọdún torí gbogbo àwọn àìsàn yìí àwọn àìsàn tó jẹ́ pé ó farasin ni mo máa ń sọ fáwọn èèyàn wípé another name tá máa ń pa hypertension is a silent killer ayọ́nipa jẹ́ pé a máa ṣe gbogbo ọṣẹ́ yẹn ẹlòmíà ní tó bá ti ọmọ tó wọ́n ní ìfúnpá yín gan wá ní mi ò mọ̀ kò sí nǹkan kan tó ṣe mí ìgbà tá a bá ti rí wípé a bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ojú wa bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ríran bàìbàì àbórí bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní fọ́ wa àbó di pé kó máa ṣe ìgbà yẹn ó ti bọ́ sórí so ìgbà tá a bá ti pé ọmọ 40 ọdún a bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní máa wá sí ilé ìwòsàn a bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní máa wo ẹ̀jẹ̀ ẹ̀yẹ̀mí wò ẹ̀yẹ̀ fúnpá a máa ń sọ wípé ó da lẹ́ẹ̀kan lọ́dún láti wá kán yẹ̀ fúnpá wa wò kán ṣe gbogbo àyẹ̀wò fún wa wọ́n fẹ́ yí wo bóyá nítọ̀ ṣúgà wọ́n fẹ́ wo àìsàn cholesterol oríṣiríṣi wọ́n fẹ́ wo jẹjẹrẹ gan títọkùnrin tóbìnrin ó ní àwọn àyẹ̀wò kan tá a lè ṣe sódà tá a bá lè tètè mọ̀ a lè tètè kojú ẹ̀ kó tó di wípé ó di wàhálà fún wa then àwọn ìbéèrè tán tún béèrè wọ́n tún ní pé.
kí ni àwọn àgbàlagbà ó dà pé ti dárúkọ ẹ ó dá jàbí eléyìí lọ́wọ́ yín how can community support báwo ni àwọn ará àdúgbò bó ṣe lè support àwọn retiree tàbí senior citizens then kí ni nǹkan tíjọba gan ní sílẹ̀ láti jẹ́ kí fún àwọn àgbàlagbà láti tọ́jú wọn.
à ń sọ wípé àgbà dídà a sọ pé oríṣiríṣi ìpèníjà sàwátà súnmọ́ àgbà a ní láti ràn wọ́n lọ́wọ́ bàgbà bá ṣe ń dàgbà sí mo ti sọ pé kò yẹ kí àgbà máa dágbé ó yẹ ká ní àwọn èèyàn tó máa bá gbé tẹ́nà àwọn ọmọ náà ká ṣílẹ̀kùn lé wa sílẹ̀ tó bá di wípé wọ́n dàgbà tí wọ́n lè wá gbé pẹ̀lú wa tó bá wá gbé pẹ̀lú wa à á lè ríran rí wọn dáadáa tó bá láìsàn à á lè tètè múra sí then tá a bá tiẹ̀ lè gbé pẹ̀lú wa kárípa àwa kí wọn àwọn aládùúgbò náà wọ́n lè wá kán wá kí wọn ẹ pẹ̀lẹ́ o màmá báwo ni o ká bá wọn takò ọ̀rọ̀ sọ a sọ wípé ìgbà míì wà tó yẹ pé ó máa ń dàbí pọ́n ló ń lè á dàbí pọ́n dá wa ìgbà míì wọ́n á béèrè oríṣiríṣi ìbéèrè lọ́wọ́ wa nítorí pé wọn ò rántí mọ́ ẹ jẹ́ ká má kanra mọ́ wọn ẹ jẹ́ ká fi ààyè ká bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀ ká rán wọn létí òkè nǹkan tí mo tún sọ lélẹ̀ dẹ́ni ìgbà míì iṣẹ́ tá a bá fún wọn a sọ wípé wọ́n ti dàgbà wọn lè ṣe bá tiẹ̀ ṣe máa ṣe gan bíi pé wọn ò já mọ́ nǹkan kan sọ wọn ṣẹ́ díẹ̀díẹ̀ tán lè ṣe wọ́n sì lè gbì láwùjọ àwọn advice wọn àwọn ọ̀mọ̀ràn wọn sì lè dáa fún wa so a sì lè lò wọ́n níbẹ̀ yẹn àgbàlagbà náà lè jí àwọn ọmọ mi à ń sọ táwọn bàbá wọn àti ìyá wọn bá kú wọn sọ pé àwọn ìyá wọn máa ń jí láàárọ̀ máa ń pè wọ́n so we can make ourselves relevant through that ẹ jẹ́ ká pè ẹ jẹ́ ká fáwọn ọmọ wa nímọ̀ràn àwọn ọmọ wa a lè bá wọn jókòó ká bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀ nípa ìrírí ayé ìnáwó wọn ní kò sí bá a ṣe lè láṣọ ká ní àkísà tó àgbà so gbogbo àwọn nǹkan yẹn ní àwọn ìrànlọ́wọ́ wọ́n fẹ́ lọ sọ́jà ni a bá wọn lọ sọ́jà ni wọ́n fẹ́ lọ síbì kan ni tó yẹ ká gbé wọn lọ ni a gbé wọn lọ ara wọn ò yá ni a gbé wọn lọ atọ́jú wọn then kí ni ìjọba lè ṣe àwọn ìjọba Ondo State ẹ̀ sì ń ṣe díẹ̀ ìyẹn là ń pè ní insurance wọ́n ní ìlera dójútòfò tó jẹ́ pé tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ àwọn tó wà ní iṣẹ́ ìjọba ló jẹ́ pé èèyàn lè owó kékeré èèyàn máa dá oṣooṣù àbọ́dọ́ndún tí èèyàn bá wá ti ní àìsàn yẹn lè lọ èèyàn ní láti mówó lọ nítorí pé owó ti wà níbẹ̀ fún èèyàn. Ìjọba náà dẹ̀ ti ń ṣe eléyìí fún àwọn ẹni tó ti retire àbáwọn tí ò tiẹ̀ ṣiṣẹ́ ìjọba rárá. Ìgbà míì ó lè jẹ́ lẹ́yọ kọ̀ọ̀kan àbí tá a kóra wa pọ̀ tó wáyé pé lẹ́yọ kọ̀ọ̀kan ní lówó téèyàn lè san sí àpò owó kékeré pé tí wọ́n bá ti san throughout the year èèyàn lè lọ sí hospital láti lọ gba ìwòsàn àbá lọ gẹ́gẹ́ bí àwùjọ bóyá àwọn retired association of retired people àbó lè jẹ́ àjọ wà nínú ẹgbẹ́ kan náà àbá tí ẹjọ́ wà ní àdúgbò kan náà àsanwó kékeré nítorí ẹ̀ èèyàn lè gba ìlera láì jẹ́ pé èèyàn sanwó.
Ẹ ṣeun gan ni àwọn tó àmọ́ tó ṣojú òpó òun lé ní àmọ́ a lérò akọ́ ẹ̀kọ́ tó pọ̀ lónìí àmọ́ ohun tó ṣojú òpó yẹn ní òwúrọ̀ ni a ò ní rí jù báyìí lọ lórí ètò wa ìlera lọ ẹ jẹ́ ká kékeré ká sáré ka àwọn nǹkan tó wà lórí ẹ̀rọ ayárabíàṣá. Bámidélé Abíọ́dún kí wọ́n ní ẹ ṣeun gan ni Ọlásẹ̀yìndé Habib ká máa dúpẹ́ náà àwọn náà kí n pẹ́ ṣeun gan ni wọ́n ní láti Ọpẹ́yẹmí area well done from Ọpẹ́yẹmí area Gbági ní ìlú ní Ìbàdàn ni wọ́n wà. Then ẹlòmíì Akínyẹlé Blessing náà kí yín Charles Wanga náà ní ẹ ṣeun gan ni pé òun kí òun ríṣẹ́ takuntakun tí ẹ̀ ń ṣe. Ìbítóyè Samuel Olúwàgbémi bẹ́ẹ̀ ni wọ́n ní well done Dr. Fagbemi mà àti àwọn tá a tún lè dárúkọ wọn ẹ ṣeun gan ni NMA Ondo State náà àwọn náà wà lára wọn ẹ ṣeun gan ni tí ẹ̀ ń gbọ́ wá onírúurú báyìí lọ. Ọ̀sẹ̀ tó tún bọ̀ ló dà lágbára elédùn ọpẹ́ pàtàkì lọ́wọ́ àlejò wa àwọn náà ni consultant community medicine physician FUTATH Teaching Hospital ti ìlú Akure Dr. Mrs. Aderonke Fagbemi ẹ ṣeun tá a pè yín tẹ̀lé jẹ wa.
ẹ ṣeun lótú.
Ọ̀sẹ̀ tó ń bọ̀ ẹ jẹ́ ká máa dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ executive producer wa dókítà tó mòye dáadáa tó mọṣẹ́ Ezekiel Akande àwọn náà ni olùdarí àwọn ló dá iléeṣẹ́ Glo 99.1 FM sílẹ̀ àwọn náà dókítà náà ni wọ́n àti producer wa dókítà Kọ́mọláfẹ́ ẹ ṣeun gan ni fúnṣẹ́ takuntakun tí ẹ̀ ń ṣe máa dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Dejavu àti Ayọ̀ àwọn engineers wa tó ń rí pé àwọn ohun yẹn ń gbọ́ wa gèrègè orúkọ tèmi ní Comfort Ọmọlá.